name is Anmol Jaggi. I lead the team at BluSmart and Gensol.
I have always found the ride hailing business to be one of the most fascinating businesses. Uber was the pioneer in the space and once had the same kind of respect that people today have for a company like Tesla. But this is one of the hardest businesses to build. Both Uber and Ola are yet to turn profitable, and they have exited from many countries. BluSmart is one of the most exciting new companies in this highly competitive market. BluSmart's unique proposition is that they run an all electric fleet and they acquire the vehicles instead of relying on drivers to buy and add vehicles to their platform. And this might be the winning formula to build a profitable ride hailing business in India. In this episode of the Founder Thesis podcast, your host Akshay Datt speaks to Anmol Jaggi, who is a serial entrepreneur and the founder of BluSmart. Anmol has an enviable track record as an entrepreneur. He started his first business from his college dorm room and took it to a public listing, and since listing, their share price has increased manifold. In this conversation, Anmol talks about building sustainable business for India and his lessons from his decade plus journey as an entrepreneur. Stay tuned and subscribe to the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming platform to learn the secrets of growth from the most disruptive founders in India.
So the story is that I was Gensol Engineering, which is the first business that we started in my third year of engineering itself. By the time I was graduating, we were already at a yearly run rate of about close to 70, 80 lakh rupees at that time in 2006.
Wow, amazing.
Which will be inflation adjusted, something like 2 crore plus for today. But yeah, it started off well, I think.
But how did you tell me that 0 to 1, how did that idea come in your mind? Okay, instead of doing a job, I'll do something on my own. And I mean, you must have been like a 20-year-old kid. How does a 20-year-old kid build a business which is doing like that kind of top line?
Yeah, so I was at college. I did 3 internships. First internship was with Indian Oil and Pipeline Division. Second internship was with Bharat Petroleum in selling in retail pumps, selling of fuel. And the third was with Reliance Industries, where we were trying to sell gas. While we were trying to sell gas, I was given the areas of Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. Both of these areas are very
And
heavy
selling
coal.
gas means like, who's the buyer of gas? Like, are these like power plants who buy gas, or?
We were trying to sell to paper mills, cement plants, large chemical industries, etc. Net power plants, not for power usage, but for application usage. So cement plant, paper mills, they were the two major customers, apart from anybody who had a furnace. So where heating application essentially. I was trying to do that, and I was working in Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. And that time I saw a presentation which said there is something known as carbon credits. Basically, if you can shift from a high carbon intensive fuel to a lower carbon intensive fuel, you get carbon credits. This is way back 2005. And I learned that and I thought, boss, this is very cool. Yeah. If you can transition to lower carbon, you make money. And
How
that's
do you
how.
make money? Like, say, I remember like ITC was one of the pioneers of moving
Yes,
to
yes.
low carbon. How would a ITC
So,
make money on this? Like, let's say they
so if you,
replaced an energy with solar power. How would that lead to money for them?
so every ton of carbon dioxide that you save, you get a certificate from United Nations that you've saved this carbon dioxide, which is a tradable. That certificate can be traded in Europe and US. So people there want emission reductions because they have emission reduction mandates there, and emission reduction happens anywhere in the world. It's the same. We have a common atmosphere. So that's why any emission reduction that we were doing in India, they were being bought over, but the certificates were being bought over by Europeans. So I got a
Okay.
lot of, and I came
And
back to
these
Dehradun.
European companies, this was like a regulation in Europe that they had to reduce. So for regulatory compliance, they had to buy carbon credits.
Yes. So they used to do that. And so I came back to Dehradun. I spoke to one of my professor, told him, this is a great idea. Why don't we do something on this? He said that there are a lot of hydropower plants here in Uttarakhand. So why don't hydropower plants produce clean energy? Why don't we get them carbon credits? So we started one project, second project, third project. He introduced me to a lot of hydro project owners, and work just started to happen. And then I was juggling between college assignments, traveling to meet my girlfriend, and also work for clients.
Yeah. So this should have been, I guess, a lot of paperwork. Like say, for example, you have these consultants who help you get an ISO certification where they make your business ready, they take your documentation process, etc. So this would be very similar to that, I'm guessing, where
Yeah, it was
you
it
would
was a
have to
it was
follow a
paperwork.
process.
Yeah, yeah. It was 80% was the process paperwork and 20% was physical activity, which was good. We built some great relationships in the renewable energy industry. So while I was graduating in 2000,
What kind of physical activity?
we had
20%
to
you
do
said.
some stakeholder consultation that the project is not, so it's not just that the project should be only saving carbon dioxide. If you have taken away livelihood of people or something else, then should be no negative impact of the project. So we used to always study that, because it isn't, carbon emission reduction is one part of sustainable living, but there are other elements to it also. So whether it has caused any submergence of land, for example, in case of hydro projects, did it lead to loss of livelihood for anybody? Did tribal land get for it? So these kind of sustainable measures.
And how would you charge them? Like you would charge them on a per credit that they receive, or you would be
Yes,
doing
so there
like
was.
trading, or like.
I used to do both the things. I used to trade as well as provide consulting. So consulting was like bread and butter. Cheese and cake was trade. Trading was cheese and cake. So yeah.
Right. So, like, you would take a commission on the transaction value when you traded, and for getting them the certification, there would be like a fixed fees of based on number of hours that you need to
Yeah,
put in. And
absolutely. Absolutely. I was doing a lot of it while I was still at college, and some good money there. I got placed with British Gas. I was day zero placed in British Gas. So very happy to have got placed also. Basically, all Indian parents would want their would want their kids to have a job and, be very safe. So I did present it to my dad again, and my dad had posted only one condition, that your business revenue should be greater than your CTC.
right.
And with the condition that I will also write the MBA exam, CAT exam, even if decided to become an entrepreneur. So those were some conditions that I had, which I fulfilled. The business was greater than CTC, and
Yeah, yeah. Obviously,
and I
60, 70 lakhs, like, there's no way that salary could have matched that kind of
yeah,
turnover
especially
which
in
you.
2007. Especially in 2007. Today, 60, 70 lakhs is not much, but I think 2007 was slightly different. Is almost 15 years back. So money would have doubled twice. It's 8 years, money doubled. So yeah, but yes, it was good. So I started off right after graduation. Then formally, the company had already got incorporated. So I started recruiting after I left college. Started to build Gensol into a good company on carbon credits. My brother graduated 2010 from IIT Roorkee. So he also then joined the business. By that time, business was doing very well. In 2010, we got awarded
What,
Young.
how did you learn to build an organization? That how did you learn that I should hire someone in finance, I should hire someone to do sales, I should hire someone? How was that growth happening?
So I would say that is all need of the day, need of the hour. If you were, for example, you needed more projects, then of course you need marketing team. If you're not able to file your tax returns in time, then you of course need a finance guy, etc. So all of those have been very organically. Nobody told we are first generation entrepreneur. My dad's been an army officer, which is a service background. It really doesn't, but we've not learned it sitting on the dining table. So but I think whatever was the need of the hour, we used to just pick up that problem and solve for that problem. I think that's how all 0 to 1 stories are like that.
Mm. And your focus was on hiring people who would execute, or hiring people who would get business, or like what
So I
kind
think
of.
I was a good sales guy myself, so really not interested in getting more sales done. It was more about execution, which was there. And like I mentioned, 2010, my brother joined. He graduated from IIT Roorkee. At that time, we decided that
And what
let's do
was your
carbon
top line
credits.
by then, by the time your brother graduated?
By 2010, we crossed 10 crores, I think.
Amazing. That's phenomenal growth. That's like more than 10x in just 2, 3 years.
Yeah, we crossed 10 crores by that
Hmm.
time, I think. Otherwise, he had got placed with Shell. Mummy Papa usko bhi nahi aane dete.
Right, right, right. Okay.
तुम तो फिर भी पेट्रोलियम इंजीनियर हो, वो तो आईआईटी से
So yeah, you were telling me you decided when your brother joined. What did you decide?
We decided that we'll now focus on solar energy also, just because carbon credits, like you mentioned, was a paper pushing job. That's good. It's good money, but we need to build up some more technology. We need to learn more skills, and solar seemed to be very interesting at that time. because we thought that prices of solar are going to fall, efficiency is going to increase. And we pretty much seen the telecom revolution at that time. Telecom also the same thing happened. Your costs were coming down and there was mass adoption which was there. So we predicted that solar is going to go the same way. And that's why my brother did not focus on carbon credits. He's from day one focused on solar. And that's how we started to build the solar vertical internally.
Solar, as in you would take up projects and solar power
No,
plants.
we started with the advisory services. We did not have capital to get into construction, etc. But we started with advisory services. We've been the largest design engineering company for solar power plants in the country. Designed about 50% of all solar plants in the country been designed at our office. So that did some very amazing cool work in solar. This is from almost 2010 till about 2017. 2007 we shut our advisory service because then we had much larger fishes to fry, and that by that time we had accumulated significant capital to get into other forms of businesses. So we did that. Quite interesting there too, because nobody in the country actually knew how to design projects. So went traveled across the globe, learned it from experience, came to India, built few plants, saw how those plants are being built, what are the goods and bads of design that we have done, go back to the drawing board, again design. So we did it quite an iterative process. We had a beautiful team, very nice team, which was helping us with all of it. So good. I think at peak in the advisory services, we had more than 200 design engineers with us. Uh, so doing fair good amount of work that we used to do. Like I mentioned, we used to do about close to 50% of all projects in the country were designed by at our office. So good work that we were doing.
So essentially from 2010 to 17, you became a design agency or a design house for anybody who wanted to do a solar project.
Yes. Design house, project management, services, strategy. So a lot of that, which was there. And in 2017, we decided that we'll start getting into two more sectors, which is construction of power plants and maintenance of power plants, solar power plants. So we started both of those businesses.
By then you would have got capital because those are like
Yeah.
more capital intensive businesses. So what kind of top line were you doing by 17 when you reached this milestone?
17, we would be doing 55, 60 crores.
Wow, amazing. Okay. And this, like you were the guy getting into business and your brother was the one who was executing it. Like between the two of you, that was
More or less, I think both of us used to do both the things. So it used to be basically half of our clients used to be managed by him, half of the clients were managed by me. But if he got in a client, we used to go end to end, build out the relationship, do the complete scope of service. If I needed his help, he was always available. If he needed my help, I was always available. So and then to 2017, he started operation maintenance and construction of power plants. Since then, we've been doing
so
that.
this construction of power plants. How does this operate as a business? You bid for like selling electricity to the government and then you construct a plant, or you go to people who have land and tell them I will I will
So
build. Like how does it work? Like
our clients are people who have won the tenders to supply electricity.
okay,
They
and
want a solar. They want a
Hmm.
solar power plant, and we go and build it for them.
So this would be like build, operate, transfer kind of a model. Or
The EPC job, we do engineering, procurement, construction. So they pay us money, and we do EPC and complete the project. We also do operation and maintenance of these assets that we have built and many other assets that we have not built. So we got into these two. 2019 was again very momentous. 2019, we started BluSmart and Presento. Presento is into data analytics, and BluSmart is into the electric ride hail. We entered electric mobility in 2019. 2019, we also did IPO of Gensol, so which was another momentous, good to get a public listed company. All that was 2019. 2019 was a busy year.
yeah, I can imagine. Okay. So let's just break down each of these. So what was the reason to go for an IPO? Because you would not have needed funds as such, or you needed funds for investing in expansion.
No, it was more of a dream to have a listed company, to say that there is, basically what happens is that in your own, till the time the company is not listed, you really don't know the value, or you can keep saying I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but it's only the public markets which actually ascribe any value to it. So it was good to get some value. Very happy. Gensols today about 16, 1700 crore business. So public markets say that, it's not me who's saying that. So So very happy that we were able to kind of get it to public market. Shareholders have enjoyed. Our stock price went from 62 rupees to today it is 1350, but about 1 month back it was 1900.
Okay.
So
That's
60
amazing
rupees to
appreciation. Okay.
60 rupees to 1900 in about less than 3 years was a good achievement. People made tons of money in the Gensol stock. We made ourselves tons of money out there. So that was another kind of high point on in the journey of entrepreneurship.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. And like, is it, I mean, what's your advice to founders who are seeking to do IPO? What are like the pitfalls to avoid? What are the challenges that you overcame in that journey to do an IPO? And who should do an IPO? Like, do you have any advice around?
No, I would say we did an IPO as a very small company. Our listing market cap was just 100 crores. So we did it as a very small company. It is okay to do a small IPO also. And basically, you have to be only ensure that you are very responsible because there is public money which is there now. So I don't, if you think, I would say I would like to keep my conscience clear that only if I know that the business is going to do great well. And because I don't want people have made tons of money. They give you a lot of blessings. People lose a lot of money. Then will not those blessings will turn into curses.
Yeah,
So
right.
I don't want to lose money for anybody. It's everybody's hard earned money. So I think I would only do an IPO if I was very confident that the business is doing extremely well and it's going to create shareholder returns. Ultimately, we have to also imagine this that in an IPO majority, you dilute 25%. So we diluted 25%. 75% is still held by us. Now, anything wrong which happening more than the market impact, more than the shareholders, it impacts you because you still hold 75% of the business. So I think I would say that only do an IPO if you can create the returns. If you cannot create returns, if your business is not going to do well, because it's a big pressure because people then start to draw an analogy. If the share price is doing well, business is doing well. If the share price is not doing well, the business. So you have to be very, very careful. You are up for scrutiny every day at 9:15 a.m. Every day at 9:15 a.m. people are scrutinizing you.
Right. They are voting, like the share price is like a daily voting mechanism or
Yeah, yeah,
daily feedback.
absolutely. So there's slight amount of pressure to it too, because why would you could focus the same energy on managing than to look at your share price and look at what's happening to it. It's a bit of pressure moment. You feel very happy when it goes from 60 rupees to 1900, but there is also pressure when it comes from 1900 to 1400. So although people have made a lot of money, but you still don't
Mm,
like it when it
mm.
comes down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
that's what
this is due to factors beyond your control. Like it's just a market scenario.
somebody in London decided we should raise interest rates and then Indian stock market. Nothing's happened to my business. My business is doing all time best. September quarter, we have closed the best ever September quarter. But people will there are many external factors, perceptions, thoughts which govern the market.
Okay. Yeah. You're so from 100 crore market cap at time of IPO today, you're about 16, 1700 crores.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what about the top line? What has that trajectory been like? Like you said, September
Yeah.
has been your best
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah. So September quarter, we are closing at 170, close to 200 crores of top line in 6 months.
Wow. Amazing. So you'll do like maybe some 400 crore kind of annual turnover
Slightly
somewhere.
higher.
Oh, wow.
Slightly higher.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what is the breakup of this? How much comes from which part of the business? Like,
This is only the construction business. BluSmart operates in the private domain. Cinto
no, but
operates in the private domain.
the,
Param Renewables.
even in Gensol, you have the design
We stopped.
consulting.
So in 17, we stopped design services.
Okay. Instead of giving advice to others to build, you decided let's build ourselves only, basically.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about BluSmart. So 2019, this was like the one major business that you launched. So is it a subsidiary of Gensol or it's a sister company like this? Standalone.
It's nothing. Only the founders are the same.
Okay, got
The
it.
founders are the same. No other relationship between the two companies. No cross shareholding, etc., etc. But only the founders are the same. I think again the same thing, which was important for us to take decision on solar, which was around efficiencies improving and prices going down. So we loved the way solar market operated and solar started to become adopted in masses. We thought electric mobility is also niche today, but battery efficiency is going to improve, prices are going to fall. Electric mobility will also become a mass market product. And let's get into that. So that's how we started Blue. And of late, we just acquired a company for manufacturing EV cars also.
So, I mean, ride hailing is it's like a graveyard of companies who could not succeed. It needs so much of cash burn. And you built Gensol with zero fundraise, zero external funding. Tell me what you thought about it before you started. And, these concerns must have come up, right? Like there is so much cash burn, which companies have done already to build up the business and so on. Like, did you feel that there is a gap here through which there is an opportunity for us to enter? And I want to understand your thinking.
So clearly, it was a David versus Goliath kind of war, or a battle which is there. There are two very large ride-hailing companies which operate in the country, Ola and Uber, and we are the smallest one which is there. So, but I think there were two, three major glaring gaps which were there. One, on the fuel side. On the fuel side, we could see that in electric versus conventional fuel, the ratio is 5:1. So fuel on conventional is 5 times more expensive than electric, which basically means that if we ran an all electric fleet, we could our fuel cost will be very low. Second, we believe that in the case of Ola and Uber, driver partners own the car. In our case, we own the cars. So when driver partners own the car, they get it at an interest rate of 18%, 20%. They don't have CIBIL scores, etc. So they get their cost of finance is very high, whereas our cost of finance is like 8%, 8.5%. So we save about 10 percentage point on the interest rates, which means that our lease costs are also very cheap when compared to driver partners. And the third thing, which is the most important thing, was that I think the two companies forgot about customer service at completely, whether it was around cancellation, surge pricing, dirty cars, ill-mannered driver partners. I think all of us have heard enough of it, and not just heard, experienced it also. I think that was a right to win and right to acquire the market. Customers will not come to us because we are electric. Customers will come to us if we can give a no cancellation, surge free, clean car. And that's what we strive for. And that's what we have been doing over the last 2.5 years. So they were meant on the cost side, interest cost and fuel cost, which is like 80% of your cost. We were able to crash it down using electric cars.
On your
On the
balance
customer
sheet,
side,
taking
on
cars
the
on
on
your
the
balance sheet.
on the customer side, we were very happy by saying that we'll do no surge, no cancellation, clean cars, all electric cars. So I think customers came in because of that. And then our unit economics were much better. In fact, we are almost at the verge of breaking even. What should be kind? Perhaps by December we should break even.
Wow, amazing. Okay. So, what was the process through which you built up these different pieces? I think what's unique here in this model is that you're using EV. Now, that obviously, because of your experience in the renewable energy space, that would be an obvious choice. But the choice to own the car, the choice to keep drivers on your payroll on a salary model instead of like how typically it's a paper ride for Uber and Ola. Oh, how did you reach these decisions? Like, did you have some data points which helped you decide, okay, let's buy cars and keep drivers on our payroll? Because that, you know, every VC loves asset light business models, and so you're now going the other direction. So I want to understand, what made you take this very contra bet.
Yeah. So actually, see, the what people have been trying to do in ride hail is to create like an Airbnb. Or why did Uber actually start globally? Uber globally started with a premise that there are sufficient cars on the road. Everybody will have some spare time. And in that spare time, they will drive a car, build some good relationships, talk to people, etc., etc. That's the founding principle of how Uber started. Ola is a copy. So Uber is the first ride hailing company which came in. But basically, in India, there is nothing known as there are enough number of cars, because the car ownership is just 20 cars per 1,000 people. More importantly, you cannot run a white number plate car on a ride hail. So driver partners had to specifically buy yellow number plate cars to run on ride hail platforms, which meant that it was not the Airbnb. Airbnb was what happens in US, that I have a spare car. Everybody, in US, 950 people out of 1,000 people have a car. Now,
So
they were
essentially, that model is unutilized asset. You are utilizing
yes,
it by
but
matching it with demand.
yes. So, but in India, that's not the case. In
Yeah,
India,
there's
तो
no
गाड़ी
such unutilized asset in the air,
no,
right?
वो अनयूटिलाइज्ड एसेट ही बहुत कम है और ऊपर से वो येलो नंबर प्लेट में तो एसेट ही नहीं है सो ड्राइवर पार्टनर्स आर फोर्स्ड टू बाय दीस कार्स व्हेन ड्राइवर पार्टनर्स वर फोर्स्ड टू बाय दीस कार्स दे बॉट इट एट 18-20%. व्हाट डिड ओला उबर डू? ओला उबर सेड कि आप इंसेंटिव लीजिए, भर भर के इंसेंटिव लीजिए. देवर पीपल वर मेकिंग 60,000 80,000 rupees a month. Now driver partners are not supposed to make 60 80,000 rupees a month. Even engineers are not making.
Yeah, right.
So they were burning that much of money, which was absolutely useless. Now, if you don't want to burn that much money and create a sustainable way of working, and anyways, you might say you are not asset heavy or you might be asset light, but if you're doling out 60, 80,000 rupees per month to a driver partner, pretty much you are paying for the asset. You are only paying for the asset without actually owning the asset. Instead, you buy that asset for 6-7 lakh rupees, at least own the asset. So that's why I think it made no sense for us to kind of give out these kind of crazy, like, on a per car basis. For example, Ola and Uber in India have spent about $5 billion put together, out of which $2 billion would have gone to for driver incentive.
Driver incentives.
$2 billion की गाड़ी खरीद के डाल दी उसके बाद.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's an amazing way to look at it. Okay, okay. So, is this model like a model which needs a lot of capital investment, or because you're taking cars on lease, so you don't necessarily need heavy capital infusion?
So the ride hailing as a whole only needs a lot of money. There is a lot of technology that we have to build. We require additional amount of money because we also build out our fuel. Now, the good part about running ICE engine ride hailing is that at least you have petrol pumps. We don't even have that. So we have to build our own fuel. So there is a lot of capital which is required to build out an EV ride hail business. We
The
have
capital is like, what are the primary heads where the capital goes? So one is to build the charging infrastructure.
three places basically, which is one is the charging infrastructure, two is the purchase, two is to get cars, and three is technology, building the app, the consumer facing front end of it, and some marketing, etc.
And marketing also, I think you don't do very heavy marketing spend, right?
Marketing is okay.
Acha,
Service
okay.
speaks for itself. Service speaks for itself. So word of mouth is very strong. Our cost to acquire a customer is just about 40 rupees to acquire one customer. People typically spend 1,500 to 2,000 rupees in acquiring a customer. We give zero discounts. There is no discount on BluSmart. There is no cashback. We don't offer any of that.
Because I think it is cheaper, right? Like for a customer, if like I've used BluSmart for airport runs and all, and I found it was cheaper than Uber, Ola.
Don't surge. So that's the big point. So if there is surge, we'll definitely be cheaper. So we should, because the whole premise is that we don't want to search price. We want to say that for an office going person, you are salaried, you 250 rupees is your daily commute budget. Because of a surge, now imagine just if, sir, if you are in Delhi about 15 days back, it rained and poured very heavily. That 250 rupee trip became 1,000 rupee trip. Now, what is the fault of the person who is going from his office to his home? That guy might be earning 1 lakh rupee salary today. For just going back to home, the person is spending 1,000 rupees, which basically is, profiteering, opportunistic profiteering on somebody's, bad situation, which is not, and customers don't like it. Customers don't, you are trying to, you are on the other side of the table than with the customers. You're not on the same side of the table with the customers. At Blue, we don't do search pricing. So if you have spent to go from your hotel or your office or your home to the airport at, for example, 450 rupees, next time also you go, you'll see 450 rupees. It's not because today is a Dashera day, there is heavy traffic, so you will get 600 rupees. So the basic principles of business need to be right, which is that, you have to, first principles, customer comes first.
I don't fully agree with your point on surge pricing. I mean, because Ola, Uber have flexible supply. I mean, get more supply in by giving more price. So that's why they do surge price. And for them, their way of thinking is a customer doesn't get a cab. Instead of that, let me at least make sure that he gets a cab by getting more supply in. And the way to get more supply is to do surge pricing.
Yeah,
I,
so actually, let me know if it when surge you got some extra cars on the road.
okay. Yeah, there is no data to support that necessarily. It may be happening, may not be happening. Yeah,
No,
right.
it is now just become a motive to profit here. It is how does it? Matlab, if it starts to rain, starts to drizzle, the city manager just says that let's put a surge. Surge pricing is in the hands of city managers. Now, city managers just decide that if it is started to drizzle, let me put a 50% surge.
Okay. Tell me about some of the other decisions you made, in terms of taking drivers on fixed salary. I think that's like an interesting
So,
decision. What made
it's
you
not,
decide?
no, no, I'll just slightly, it's not a fixed salary model that we have with them. We sublease the cars to driver partners, but we do very bite-sized subleases, 6 hour leases. The fully charged car becomes discharged or partially discharged in about 6 hours. So they come back to the charging hub and they swap the car. So they take a new car and drive it on the road. So the driver partner does not waste any time in charging of the car. So there is no they operate on a lease and they have to pay us the lease, but the lease is but their earnings, in case the driver partner has put in the requisite number of hours and for whatever business reason has not been able to make enough revenue, we just offer a minimum guarantee to the driver partner which supports their livelihood. Now, what happens, for example, during COVID or any time when the demand is low, is that the driver partner has to pay the EMI of the car, like in the case of Ola and Uber, has to pay for the maintenance of the car. But if there is no earning, then what does the driver partner do? And then they have to also run their own homes. They have to pay for their kids. They have to pay for their food. They have to pay for the tuition fees, etc., etc. So we just ensure that in bad days time, there is a kind of a security cover with the driver partner that you will make such and such money irrespective of business. But that is only if you follow the protocol of the platform, which is great customer service, which is no cancellation, which is about opening the door for your customer, offering them a sanitizer. If you only perform on the quality standards that the platform has mentioned and you are trained for, only if you maintain those standards will you get the, if I can use the word, security cover. Otherwise, you don't get it.
Okay. So what is the economics for a driver? How much does he pay for a lease? And then what can a driver earn in that 6 hour period?
So net of what our platform is doing today, the driver partner, net of all the lease and etc. And a lease comes like a full lease, it's for a fully charged, maintained, insured electric car. Otherwise, driver partners have to pay separately for fuel, separately for maintenance, separately for insurance, separately for the lease of the car, EMI of the car. In our case, it just comes up one bundled thing. They just have to pay one thing, which is there. And so approximately driver partners, if they are working two shifts of 6 hours each, make about close to 20 to 23,000 rupees a month for 26 days of working.
Amazing. This is very interesting. Like you have essentially, uh, how there is that SaaS movement in which companies no longer need to buy software and keep maintaining it and upgrading it on their own. They can just subscribe to software. So you have made electric car available as a subscription to a driver where he can get a car lease, and then just for that period when he's using the car, only that period he has to pay the lease amount. And if there is not enough business, he can choose not to, or he can choose to take 10 days off if he wants to, and it will, because it will not affect his costs. If he's not working for
Yeah.
10 days,
So,
he
so,
doesn't
that,
have to.
so that brings in a very high quality of talent pool for our driver partners, because you can, as a driver partner, you do not have any fixed cost. You do not have to pay the EMI. You do not have to pay the lease. You do not have to pay the maintenance. Now you can, this is where we have actually now brought in what originally was the Uber concept, that if you have spare time, come and drive.
Right. Yeah. 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 Because in India, the unutilized asset is manpower. So
Yeah,
this is actually,
exactly. So you get that. So we have multiple hundreds of students who drive for us. And so if you sit in a BluSmart car, you can pretty much find a very educated MBA going graduate who's driving the car because the guy had some spare time, 4 hours in a day he could spare. And in that 4 hours, he could make 12, 13,000 rupees.
Amazing, amazing. Okay. And so how do you acquire driver partners at scale? Like,
बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है, sir. That just happens. People, I like
word
to
of
mention,
mouth.
we have utilized India's strength and weakness both is the huge manpower that we have. So I think people are looking forward to earning opportunities where they have to only bring their skill and no capital. In the case of our competition, people have to bring skill, which is the skill to drive, and capital. In our case, you only have to bring skill. So if you have the ability to drive safely, start earning money.
What is your driver onboarding process? Like, how do they get trained on what is the requirement of the platform, and so that your service quality is maintained? How do you maintain service quality, basically?
Yeah, so I think the driver onboarding side, it's a 2-day training process. Now, if you can ask our competition how they onboard driver partners, all you need to do is to scan your Aadhaar, scan your driving license, upload it in our portal, your driver ID becomes okay, and you can start driving. Nobody's ever physically met the driver partner. In our case, the driver partner has to clear a fitness test, has to clear the background verification, has to clear a driving test because all electric cars are also automatic. So they have to clear a driving test for an automatic car. Cars don't have gears. So after they have done that, they go through a 2-day training program. On every weekly, they have to complete 2 hours of training, which can happen through videos or in person. So they have to do that, and then only they can be fit to be retained on the platform. Plus, we take it extremely seriously because what happens is that in case of our competition, if you dehire a driver partner, one car also gets dehired. If you say that you will not drive, that means one car also becomes less. In our case, if we dehire a driver partner for quality, the driver partner is gone. There is a new driver partner which will drive your car tomorrow. The car is there. So people know that if they do not perform, there are 20 people standing in the queue to take their job. So that is like a pressure. That is like a pressure on them. If you know that people on Ola and driver partners on Ola and Uber know कि यार हमको निकाल तो सकते नहीं है गाड़ियां तो गाड़ी कहाँ से लाएंगे?
Amazing. Okay. Amazing. How you figured out each of these like solutions to, fix. Do you also like collect data to ensure service quality? Like, is there an IoT device on the vehicle, which like, tell me about all of those other initiatives to maintain service
A
quality?
huge amount of data which is collected. I think customer feedback is the best format. If you go on to the app store, our app rating is 4.9 out of 5. We've been maintaining it for a very, very long time, which is the best for any ride hailing app in the world is the best rating, star rating, which is there. After every trip, customers review it. We have mystery riders who take. We have a dedicated call center where you can call in and mention your feedback. Social media is such a big provider of feedback. So all of that is pretty active modes of getting feedback. And I think just like our stock market tells you at every 9:15 a.m. how you have been performing, after every trip the customer tells you how you have been performing. But we do thousands of trips every day now, and about 70% of the trip people give a star rating after the trip. So that is enough data to be collected. And then they also mention whether the issue was with the cleanliness of the car or with the driver behavior or something else, etc., etc. So I think huge amount of data flows in from customer side onto our app, and I think all of it is very deeply analyzed because customer service is the only key to success.
What about IoT based data? Like, does that help? Because I'm sure the EVs have a lot more data that they can generate as compared to an ICE car.
No, we get a lot of data. So we get a lot of data on how the brakes have been applied. We get a lot of data on the speed of the car, acceleration of the car. We get a lot of data on if the door of the car has been opened, door has been closed. So we get all of that data which is there, which basically helps us only to ensure that the things are going right. So for example, if there is a sudden acceleration or deceleration of a car, we get to know that. And if it is, let's say, crossed the 4G kind of a mark, there is an alarm which gets raised at our operations center. That means that something wrong is happening with the car. So we use maybe an accident, maybe somebody is hit it, or the driver is driving rash, etc., etc. So we get all of that data from the IoT device which is there. Then most importantly, the IoT data is about location. Now, how our competition gets your location is through the phone of the driver partner. There is no But in our case, that's not the case. In our case, the location is coming from the from the car from the car. The location is being coming from the customer's phone. The location is also coming from the driver's phone, and all of them are triangulated to understand that this is. It's not that the car is showing X location, the driver partner is showing Y location, and the customer is showing Z location. That means there is a safety incident which is going to happen. So all of that needs to move at a certain speed. They all need to be in a certain radius, 1 meter radius of each other. So those are some of the tech helps us to identify safety issues, because tomorrow today, if there was a driver partner who threw your phone off, the driver, the bad guy, he threw your phone out of the car, there is no way you can track anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 But you would come to know because the car and the customer location is different. So means something is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So we would also know the driver partner's location. A lot of things. I think we also know if the car is running or not. If battery percentage is coming down, the car is running. Battery percentage is not coming down, the car is not running. The car is stationary. Was the AC on or not? We even know whether the windows were rolled up or rolled down.
Okay. Amazing. And you also took a decision to not be on demand. Like, I think you need to book at least
So
45 minutes in advance.
वो मजबूरी है सर, वो मजबूरी है. It's not a day. It's we would want to be insta hail, but we are slightly constrained. We have about 2,500 cars now in Delhi NCR. To go insta hail for full Delhi NCR, we'll need about 40,000 cars. So there's a so abhi to we have to do the full geography, and then we have to start reducing time.
What is the constraint to growth? Like, why can't you do 40,000 in a few more months? Is it a supply of vehicle? Is it supply of charging infra? Is it supply of money? Like,
Please do a podcast with CEO of Tata Motors, Hyundai. Ask
Okay.
them this question and let me know the answer also of why
Okay.
they are not manufacturing enough EV cars.
So the constraint is only supply of EV. There's no money or charging infra. Both of those are sorted
BluSmart has more than enough money than what it needs.
because you anyway are taking on lease, so you don't need to really put in money to acquire more cars.
We need some money, but that's not hell of a money that we need. So we are very adequately capitalized. I think we still just in our bank we have enough money to last us for the next 3 years. So we're not actually issues only if we break even by October, then by December, then anyways we don't need further money. So from a money perspective, I think we are more than sufficient. The only constraint is on how many cars can we get.
Okay. So is this why you acquired a EV manufacturer?
गाड़ी नहीं मिलती क्या करेंगे.
Okay. Tell me about that. Which company did you acquire? Why did you select it out of all the options in front of you? What are the what's on the roadmap for that company?
So we acquired this business. This was a US-based startup. They were not able to raise funds. They had a very nice product. The founder was a very technical guy, not a commercial guy. So we raised 2 rounds of funding, but couldn't raise the next one. And we wanted to step
What's
in.
it called?
After
That company.
we've not named it, like we've not disclosed what business we acquired, but
It's into passengers EV space.
yeah, passenger EV space. It's a car. So we wanted cars for BluSmart. And nice technology, nice people, nice team.
They had a
Enough.
working prototype in place and they had
Yes,
figured
yes.
out manufacturing also they had started.
No, they only had prototypes. They only had prototypes, and basically they were trying to raise funds for manufacturing.
They would essentially be competing against Tesla in the US market. Like that was going to be
For a
the
car,
ambition.
it's a Tesla is a $50,000 car. This is
Okay.
slightly. This was supposed to be a $10,000.
Mass market EV.
Yeah.
So now that team is working to set up manufacturing in India.
Yes. In fact, I'm today at their office only. The plant is being set up at Pune, at Chakan in Pune. With God's grace, we should start the trial production in the month of January, and commercial production should start from March.
Wow, that's amazingly fast. And because you acquired, so you can do this fast because they had already figured out the technology and that product market fit, the vehicle design, prototyping, R&D, all of that they had already done. So
Yeah.
hence,
So when we got in, the design was at stage -1, in the sense that one stage lower than good to go, good for production kind of a design, which was there. I think the teams worked hard. We just acquired the business very recently in April. So it's just been like 6 odd months since we acquired it. And in the next 3-4 months, we'll have the plant ready and production
Mm.
started.
And this is purely for internal consumption, or is this going to be a standalone business which you'll also sell
Yes.
to
We are
consumers?
going to sell to consumers.
Oh, wow. Did you tweak the design for Indian conditions, or like was there a need to tweak it for Indian conditions, the car design?
Yeah, of course, there were certain things which were needed, but the founder of this company is also an Indian.
Okay.
Of course, it's
Mm.
a US based company, but the
Mm.
founder is also an
Mm.
Indian. So there was he knew pretty well about Indian
Mm.
conditions. It wasn't a
Mm.
big challenge.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Okay. And what's the plan for business? Like, what is the run you will do? Like, how many cars a month? And what like
So
roadmap for this?
yeah, so we are right now we are constructing our first plant. The first plant is going to have a manufacturing capacity of 1,200 cars, 2 shifts.
Mm.
If we decide to add a third shift, we can take it up to 2,000 cars per month also.
Okay.
So we're going to produce, I would say if we start 2 shift at 1,200 cars a month, it'll be a very good start.
Right. But even this is not fully meeting your need. Like, if you want to hit 40,000 in Delhi, this is like, so what else are you doing to meet that supply gap?
And no, so I'm sure Tata Motors is ramping up their production. Our prime purchase is still going to be Tata Motors. We are also in very advanced negotiation with the European supplier of cars. So we should be able to sign an agreement in the next 1.5 month with them too for supplying a few thousand cars. Tata Motors, we've already placed an order for 13,500 cars with them, out of which we have received 11,500 order is still pending with them. So between Tata Motors, European large auto manufacturer, and our own Gensol EV production, should be, I think, in about 12-15 months, we should be able to hit the mark.
Okay. So what's the roadmap in terms of geographical expansion? So right now you are Delhi NCR focused. How do
We
you want
launched
to?
Bangalore about 2 weeks back.
Oh.
So that's been a good launch. We're liking how Bangalore is shaping up. Bangalore can also absorb about 40-50,000 cars. So Bangalore is a very large market also. So I think we are happy to be in these two geographies for now, not really looking at any third geography for the time being.
I mean, there's so much scope here that you don't even need to, like, it'll take you a year or two to fully meet the demand in these geographies only, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what is like the kind of revenues that you're doing? I want to understand the revenue model also. Like, you earn from the amount that you lease it out to the driver plus something per ride, or like, how do you earn? Like,
So we earn three things. One, we take a take rate of the customer revenue. So about 25% of customer revenue comes to us. Two, we make revenue from lease to the driver partners. And three, we also make revenue from third party users charging stations. So we also make revenue from there. So Blue is today annual revenues in the run rate of about more than 200 crores.
amazing. And how many charging points do you have?
About close to 600 fast charging points, 1,500 slow charging points.
Okay. So what is the difference between fast charging and slow charging? Like I mean, why would you invest in slow charging? Why not just invest in fast charging? Is there a benefit to get slow charging points?
Yeah. So what happens is that in the night time, we have enough time to charge our cars slow. Fast chargers, of course, cost about at least 20 times more expensive than a slow charger. So a slow charger you can get for about 6,500 rupees. Fast charger, if it is CCS, is about 4 lakh rupees.
And you told me about an analytics. So I guess in BluSmart, we have pretty much covered everything I wanted to ask, I think. Yeah. Okay. One last thing on BluSmart. So what has been your fundraise journey so far? Like, who are the investors who backed you? And, just tell me a bit about that
So
also.
we've raised 4 rounds of capital till date. We did a 3 million seed round, then we did a 7 million pre-A, then we did a 25 million A and 25 million A1. So we've raised about close to 60.5 million dollars till date, which is about close to, let's say, 400 crore rupees that we have raised. And yes, British Petroleum has been our largest investor. So BP is a significant investor with us, British Petroleum. Then we have Mayfield, who's a very solid investor with us. Then we have some of the largest family offices in the country who backed us. For example, Sumant Khan Munjal's office, which is also part of Hero family, Deepika Padukone's family office, etc., etc. A few very famous family offices who have backed us. So good set of investors that we have.
I guess it would not have been a big challenge for you to raise funds because you had that credibility of Gensol, like building up
But
Gensol.
we had COVID, and in COVID our revenue
Ah,
was zero.
oh, right.
So
Okay.
we had to raise money for a company whose revenue was zero,
Yeah.
and a company whose prime business was the worst thing that anybody wanted, which is travel and mobility.
Yeah, right, right. How was the COVID period for you? Like, was it like a high stress, high pressure situation for you, or did you have enough money in the bank to last it comfortably? Like,
So money's never been a constraint for us in any of the business. Money, we've always had sufficient money with us. I think it was a fun time. Apart from the human tragedy which was happening, it was generally a fun time because we were in the very early days of starting Blue. We started Blue on 6th of December 2019, and 20th of March, the lockdown happened. So we had about 100 days only which we had operated. And all through the 3 months of lockdown, we just sat and improved the technology. So we had 100 days of experience. We knew where this was failing. We knew what we had to build. So I think we were on Zoom calls just building out the tech. And then when it all started again in July, and then again we got a lockdown in December, and then in May again when wave 2, wave 3 happened. So yes, it's been start stop. But every time we used to get a lot of experience of what is working, what is not working, and in those off peak kind of days, which were the lockdown days, we used to go and build out tech. And otherwise, it's very difficult to change an operating system when operations are running because there's so much pressure of operations. But if you're sitting at home, no car is running on the road, you can pretty much just focus all your energies in fixing the tech.
right. It helped you mature your product in a much faster way than would have been
Yes,
possible.
yes.
Right. Amazing. Okay. Plus, I guess COVID would have also made people value customer service more. Like your core promise of customer service would have become more valuable post COVID.
Yeah, and no, I think yes, people did talk about sanitization. People did want proof that the driver partners were vaccinated. So a lot of this was there, which is great. I think yes, COVID generally upped the ante on sanitization, cleanliness, etc., etc. So yes, good has been. We have been big beneficiaries on the business because of COVID. Our competition suffered massively. They had 500,000 cars, but a lot of driver partners gave their cars back, etc., etc. So competition size actually halved.
In your case, the drivers are still protected, but in their case, if there's no money, then the driver goes bankrupt. So that would have like
So huge amount of reposition of cars which happened during COVID.
amazing. Okay, okay. I read that you're raising about $250 million in your next round.
That's correct.
Amazing. That would be like a unicorn round, I'm guessing.
No comments on that. But it's a good raise.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing. Absolutely amazing. More power to you.